video for the Zoom. And in the long run, the plan is that if one of these fine people who is participating online speaks, they would come out these speakers so that you would all hear them. At the moment, if you're online, I think if you say something, only I will hear you through the laptop. Actually, can somebody who's online, like, say hello and wave?
Hi.
Okay, good. So I can hear you on the laptop. So definitely speak up during class. If you have questions, I might have moved over here, right? And then you won't be able to see me. And because the laptop speakers are not super loud, shout so that I know you're trying to get my attention, and I would be happy to answer questions and things like that. Is that cool? Okay, so when all this stuff is fixed, if like one of you asks a question, it should be picked up by the mics and go to the people who are taking the class online. And if they speak, it should come out the speakers so that you should be able to hear it. And we should all be some approximation of being in the same space, even though some of us are in this room and some of us are in other places. Now, all that's not set up yet. And as you've just heard, there's a nasty feedback issue at the moment that they're working on. So for the moment, the only mic that's on is on the laptop. So I'll have to stay near the laptop so you can hear me. And the only speaker is on the laptop, but within a week, fingers crossed, that'll all change. Can those of you online, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay if I like move around some? Do I still make sense? Am I good? Okay, awesome. So let's see. Ooh, yes, we've officially started. We should begin. Hi, I'm Nick McPhee, and this is Computer Science 1201, Introduction to Media Computation. For those of you online, when the fancy camera comes in, we'll be able to turn it so that it actually points at the whiteboard, so that if I draw on the whiteboard, you'll be able to see whatever I write. So far, I haven't written anything very interesting, so don't sweat it. But if you ever feel like I've wandered out of the picture and I'm doing things that you can't see that you need to see, you should definitely let me know. I guess you can see me down here at the, I do show up sort of like down here in the corner, but you probably can't read the board. So the main thing we'll do today is we'll go through the syllabus, Canvas, all that kind of stuff. If there's time, we'll talk a little bit about chapter 1, but that's the main sort of plan for today. Are there any sort of big picture questions before we launch in on all the goodies? Okay, so I'm going to, oh, not that, stop. Come on, computer. There we go, canvas.umn.edu. And actually, I should just share my screen. That would be probably the best thing. And then I'll be projecting for everybody. Share. Okay. So now everybody gets to watch me log in. No, don't say that. Two-factor authentication. And awesomeness. I am in. Courses. And digital media computation. Voila. I need to make that go away. Actually, I'll do that. Okay. So, has anybody never used Canvas before? And it's totally fair if you haven't. I'm just curious. So there's a couple of people. That's fine. Totally good. So Canvas is the primary learning management system here at the University of Minnesota across all the system campuses. We've been using Canvas here for actually probably 5 or 10 years now. And it's worked quite well. It isn't perfect. There are moments where, like any piece of computer software, you're like, oh, come on, really? Why does it do it that way? But in general, Canvas works pretty well. So we'll be using Canvas, as will, I'm guessing, many of your other classes, to share information, to turn in assignments, to post assignments, all that kind of stuff. And so this would be the first place to come if you're looking for information on the course or you're trying to figure out what's happening. Okay, does that make sense? Let's see, let's do the syllabus first and then we'll come back to the front page. Oh, so I should point out, let me go back to the front page. For those of you playing along at home, you can see my mouse. Is that true? Like when I move the cursor, you can see that. Okay, so you can see where I'm clicking on things and stuff. Definitely make a noise if it's not obvious what I just did, because that, the goal is not to be confusing. So the syllabus is available over here on the left through that link, or there's this set of sort of pullouts that have some of the key stuff as well, which is just showing off, frankly. You could totally just come over here and click the syllabus link. So we'll go to the syllabus link. This doesn't, actually have the syllabus. This is, has a link to the syllabus and has upcoming events, the sequence of events for the semester. But we will actually click on this link and open a new tab. Oh, come on. Go away. That is really annoying. Okay, we're just going to click this link and come back. So here's the syllabus for the course. And as I go through this, we'll talk about sort of what's the point of the course and why you might be here and what you might get out of this class. So hopefully you can make informed decisions about whether this is a terrible, terrible mistake or not. This is Computer Science 1201, Introduction to Digital Media Computation. It meets 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in this room at this time. You've made it here, so presumably you figured this part out. We'll talk about this a little more later, but my plan at the moment actually is to meet, in general, to meet in this room only on Monday and Wednesday, and have Friday be completely online. And have Friday be essentially focusing on work, on projects or exercises, possibly in small teams. And I'll just do that online at the moment. But I am totally making this up as I go, right? The first time I ever did any significant online teaching was in March, when we all had to flip our courses to be completely online. This is the first time I've tried a blended class where some people are taking the class remotely and some people are here in the room. I have never done this before. So I've got an idea of what I think we're going to do, but I also think it's really important that we be very flexible, because you might tell me, hey, this is not working, right? This part of the course, it's a terrible idea. We need to stop doing it. And you should say that. If that's true, that's important for me to hear. You can also say that something's working well. I like good news too. But it's pretty critical that I hear from you if there are like issues with the way the course is working. So my plan at the moment is Monday and Wednesday in this room, Friday on the line. My plan 2 weeks from now might be different. So be prepared. And of course, there is the possibility, let's hope it doesn't happen, but there is the possibility that bringing all these students together in one place leads to bad things. And COVID rates spike and they send everybody home. And by the end of September, we're online like we were in March. I hope that doesn't happen. Everybody's wearing their masks, doing the good thing. That's awesome. We keep that up. Maybe we all get to stay here, but we should be prepared for the possibility that, weird things happen, because definitely an option. Okay, so now that said, Friday this week, like Friday day after tomorrow, Friday, will be in this room. And I'll post a reminder about that. We won't quite be ready to like have a lab day on Friday this week because we won't have had a chance to do enough. So we're going to go ahead and meet here like normal on Friday, or if you prefer, you can, you know, come in via Zoom and that'll be fine. Okay. Questions so far? Coolio. Any questions online? You good? Okay. Let's see if I look at that list. And that's probably a good thing. Okay. So there's my email. There's my email. Knowing where to point, complicated. And that's one of several ways to contact me. We can talk, we'll talk more as we move through this about other ways to contact me. So this is, let's make that a little bigger. Is that readable in the back? Are we good? I got middle-aged eyes, so I think everything's tiny. So, you know, you young people can tell me sort of what works for you. So this is a 4-credit course, blah, blah, blah. There's no prerequisite for this course. This course is designed to be accessible to non-computer science majors, people with no prior experience with computer science. It serves as both a general education, here, let's learn something about computing, and as one of the ways to enter the computer science major for those of you that are interested, which is probably not most of you, to be honest with you. Most of you are probably not planning to do computer science as a major, but some of you are, I know. And so this course should serve both of those purposes. As it says here, it will help if you have some comfort level with high school algebra. There is going to be some math. I mean, not like super complicated math. We're not going to do like three-dimensional calculus and weird like that. But there is like some basic simple algebra that will come up in the course. And so if that is something that doesn't freak you out, that's good. If it does make you nervous, maybe we should talk. I mean, I don't think it's a big problem, but I think, you know, it's good to be aware that that could be an issue. We will most of the work in this class will be programming and problem solving on a computer, because that's what we're learning to do. And in a lot of ways, a class like this, you know, we're in the science and math division, but this class probably has a lot more similarity to studio art or music than it does to chemistry, right? A lot of what you're doing here is learning how to do something by doing it a lot. And you learn to play the oboe well by playing the oboe a lot, not by reading about the oboe or talking to other people about the oboe. And those things can be helpful, but if you do not like pick up the instrument and play it, you will not get good at it. If you do not do your sport a lot, you will not get good at that sport, okay? This is like that. You must do the thing. You must write the programs. You must interact with the computer to gain skill and competence. And there's just no other way around it that I'm aware of. Like the only way to get good at this is to do it and to do it as much as time and circumstances allow, frankly. So be prepared for that as a possibility. This satisfies Morris's math and symbolic reasoning general education requirement, which is perhaps why several of you are here, don't know. Then there's a link back to the Canvas site. We can talk about that later. So the course description says that this, using images, sounds, and movies to introduce problem solving, data representation, data manipulation, and programming principles, including recursion. Introduction to basic ideas in hardware, software, and computing. So that's the sort of language that people that write course descriptions like. The main thing here is this is a really nice introduction to the key ideas of computing. And we're going to do this in a context where we work primarily on data that is media information. You could teach a class like this focusing on business information. Lots of schools do that. You could teach a class like this that focuses on scientific data and big data. We have courses on campus that do that. You could teach a course like this that focuses primarily on text processing. In this class, we're going to focus on using these ideas to manipulate things like images and sound files. And you've all done this. Well, I shouldn't say all. Most of you have probably done things like this. If you've taken pictures on your phone and you've had some filters that you could apply either in your phone app or in the social media app where you're uploading your pictures, and you can say, oh, I want it to be black and white, or I'm going to do this filter with a funny name that makes it a lot greener than it was before, right? All of that, that's exactly the sort of stuff we'll learn how to do in this class. You will learn how to manipulate images in ways very similar to the kinds of things that your phone makes available to you when you take a photograph. And we'll also look at how you can do that kind of manipulation for audio files, for sound files. So if you wanted to use a program to modify or manipulate sound, we'll learn how to do some of that. We're not going to like write Photoshop or Logic Pro, right? These are expensive professional programs for a reason. But you're going to learn a lot of the concepts so you understand sort of what's involved in writing something like that, okay? And so when we talk about digital media, that's sort of what we mean. Things like photos and sound, that'll be the primary piece of that. There'll also be a little bit with movies, but photo and sound will be the primary thing. Questions about any of that? Questions online? Good? Okay. And as I say here, you know, while we're going to focus on media, what we learn from that should be fairly general and help us understand sort of how computers work in the world in a variety of ways. Okay, so I think that's all of that. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. Okay, instructor info. Because of COVID, the university is encouraging faculty to spend as little time on campus as possible. And so instead of, normally I would just be hanging out in my office all the time, but now I'm not going to be doing that because that's not what they want us to do for safety reasons. So basically I'm going to come to campus for class and then I'm going to go home and I'll be available in sort of online ways. On Tuesday and Thursday, I won't come to campus at all. My Tuesday, Thursday class is entirely online, and I just won't leave the house. I'll spend my whole life in this little pink room, talking to people like you on the internet, in the same way that you will spend much of your life sitting in, you know, your bedroom talking to people on the internet. It's a strange time. So I won't be in my office. My office is 1315. It's right over there. But don't bother going there because you're probably not going to find me. So that is not the most useful piece of information at the moment. My cell is there. Feel free to text me. Make sure you introduce me the first time so I know who this random person sending me text is. And we're gonna use a communication tool called Slack, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit, to do a lot of sort of lightweight chat communication. Canvas is good for like heavyweight communication. Nick is making an announcement to the class, but it's not very good for like, I have a quick question and I want to see if somebody can help me out. And I think Slack actually is a much better tool for that. I apologize for introducing a second tool. I know that complicates the universe. But we found in computer science classes over the past quite a few years that Slack has worked quite well as a way of having lightweight, fast back and forth. And it's nicer than email because email from this class would get all mixed up with email from my other classes. And similarly for you, email from all of your classes just turns into a big ball of email. And so this sort of gives us a space that's just about this class. I get a notification when somebody posts something. So if I'm available, I'm usually pretty prompt at responding. So definitely recommend that. We'll talk more about that later. So this is a weird semester and office hours are weird. And so I actually ended up writing, normally I would just say office hours, these days, these hours, done. Well, now I've got a whole page on office hours because it's COVID. So I've got basically 3 ways I'm going to try to be available. So the first is sign-up slots. And there's a link here to the sign-up slots. If you've never used Google Calendar, Google Calendar is the primary calendaring system used by the university. And certainly my whole life is on Google Calendar, as you can see. If you click that sign-up slots link, you won't get exactly this because you'll get your calendar in blue or green or whatever color it chooses to put it in, not mine. So this is, all this blue is my stuff. If you click the same link, Google's going to put your calendar on this, not my calendar. If you don't use Google Calendar, it'll actually be blank, except for the appointment slots. If you do use Google Calendar, you should see your stuff as well as the appointment slots. And the appointment slots are these sort of silver gray boxes over here on Friday. So these are available for sort of reserved office hour time. If you just click on one, it will add that event to your calendar, add that event to my calendar, send me an email saying that you have made an appointment, and then I will know that I need to be on, and the event on your calendar will have a Zoom link in it. And so if you use that Zoom link and I use that Zoom link, we will be in the same room at that time. So if you wanted to grab, this slot, which is 11 to 11:15 on Friday, you could click that box and that slot would become yours, okay? And if you go forward, you can see that there are slots on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 and Fridays from 10:30 to noon. And at the moment, I've got them chopped up into kind of smallish chunks. The Friday slots are 15 minutes and the Tuesday slots are 20 minutes. I tried doing half-hour slots last semester when we went online, and I found we didn't use the whole slot very often. People would often have a pretty quick question and we'd be done in like 10 or 15 minutes. And then I'd have like 15 minutes to kind of do something like read my email, and then there'd be another person. So I figured I would try shorter slots at the moment. But again, this is one of these things where I'm making this up as I go along. And if we get into it and you're like, yeah, 15 minutes is just not enough, right? We just never get anywhere in 15 minutes. Then I can totally make them longer. You can also sign up for multiple slots. So you could say, sign up for this slot and that slot, and that would give you from 10:30 to 11. And so you have a half hour. So if you know you've got a longer conversation you want to have, like, I want to learn more about computer science as a major. What would it take if I wanted to major in computer science? Or something awkward's happening at home and I think I'm going to have to leave and I don't know what that's going to mean. And I would like to talk to you about it. It might take a while. Like if there's something that you want to spend some time on, absolutely feel free to sign up for more than one slot. Don't be put off by the size of the slots. But like I said, I'm trying it. We're going to see what happens. Okay. Questions about the slot stuff? Any questions online about slots? And for people that are in very different time zones, because I know we have some people who are 13 hours away, these might be terrible times because they might be in the middle of the night for you. If you or anyone else, because it might just be that you have classes at all these times. If these times don't work for you for whatever reason, let me know. We can arrange other appointment times, right? I've got to pick some things and do the best I can given the 60 students I have to deal with in a semester. And there's no way to make that work for everybody, right? So absolutely let me know if this isn't working for you, okay? And we can make something happen. Questions? Leo? Questions online? Good? Awesome. So, oh man, really? Yeah, apparently. Momentary pause while I, oh, no, stop it. The Zoom is covering up the part of the window that I would use to move some things around. Ah, there we go. That's a little better. So I want to go back to here. Ha! But it scrolled down. Not helpful. Oh, actually, I wanted to be at office hours. That's where I wanted to be. Okay. So we've talked about the sign-up slots. And are there any questions about that? Good. Let me know if that's working. I've also scheduled an open work time Thursday from 3 to 5. So basically, this is just a Zoom meeting where I'm going to be sitting and working, and you can come and sit and work too, if you want. So it's not really intended to be office hours in the we will talk to each other about stuff necessarily. It is really intended to be kind of a work thing. So I participated in one of these over the summer with some faculty and found it really useful. And basically we would meet, we would just chit chat for a little bit. Everybody would say what they were going to work on. Then somebody would set a timer for say 25 minutes or half an hour. And everybody would be like, okay, we're going to work now for 25 minutes. And then we would work. And then the timer would go off, and then we would come back together and be like, how did it go? You know, did you get refocused? Did you get stuff done? And check in, and then we would set another timer and go some more, right? And so I found that to be quite useful. And if you're feeling kind of isolated, you know, whether you're on campus or remote, right, that might be a useful thing. I don't know. So we're going to give it a try. This is entirely optional. You can choose to never come. You can come when you can. So you could come for half an hour, skip it for 2 weeks, come for the whole time after that, right? Whatever works for you. But the idea is that, you know, we'll like do work together. I'll probably grade or do course prep. So I'll try to be working on stuff that's relevant to class. And you can, you know, write your history paper or work on a program for this class or work on your resume or whatever it is that that's important to you at that moment in time. So that's going to be there. If nobody comes and it just turns out to be a stupid idea, then that's fine, and we'll just not do it anymore. You know, if it hurts, I'll stop. But if it works, that's awesome, and we learned something. So that's the plan on that. Okay, so not really office hours, but you know, I'll be around. And then, as I say, you know, I know that these won't be work for everybody. And you can also always just add an event to my Google Calendar. You can create an event and invite me. And since you can see my calendar, you can see if I'm free then. And if you create an event and invite me and I'm free, I'll accept it and we'll meet. And that'll be awesome. If for some reason that time doesn't work for me, maybe my calendar wasn't as up to date as I wanted it to be, or something's come up that I hadn't gotten to my calendar yet, I will let you know and we'll find another time. but it's a good way to be like, hey, I really do want to talk to you, and will this time work, please? And usually it does. And people that don't know me are often anxious about adding something to my calendar because it sounds kind of like creepy and demanding. But actually, I am totally cool with it. I really, really, truly am totally cool with you just adding stuff to my calendar. And students do it all the time. So don't be shy about it. I'm a grown-up. I can say no if the time doesn't work for me for some reason. So don't be like, worried about it. Don't put something on my calendar that's starts in 5 minutes and expect me to notice it and be there. Maybe I'm in the shower. Who knows, right? So give me a little heads up so that it's not like right this minute. But other than that, I think it's a great way to be in touch. And that could be a particularly useful thing for people that are in really remote time zones. Might be a nice way to try to set up a meeting that would work for both of us. Now, I'm also going to try as an experiment, because this semester is nothing but one great big experiment as we all wander off into the uncharted realms of the map. I'm actually going to, on Monday and Wednesday, so after this class, when we meet in class, my plan is to go sit out on the grass. I've got a lawn chair that I brought with me, and I'm leaving in the office, and I will go haul it up and go sit out on the lawn for an hour. And if anybody wants to come and chat in the safety of the outside with the nice Morris breezes keeping our bugs from each other, then that would be totally awesome. Oh, we have something in the chat. And if you ever see anything in the chat that I haven't noticed, absolutely let me know. So Claudia said, I'm not sure how to interpret the emoji, but it's colon with the O, so kind of a O. So cool. So as long as the weather's good, I will take a lawn chair and sit out on the grass, and you can come sit and chat. And if nobody comes for a while, then I'll just decide that this was a dumb idea, stop doing it. But I know some people would like to actually be able to talk to human beings in a safe way, and this seemed like the best bet. And one advantage of starting a week early is the weather's going to be decent for a while. I mean, back in the 90s, we started in late September, and it was already often like in the 40s back then. So, we had good weather for a while, assuming it doesn't rain. We might have reasonable sitting outside weather for a month or more. So while the weather's decent, I'll go sit out on the grass. And if people want to come and chat, we can do that. And I'll be there today. So I'll go there today after class. I won't bring a laptop or anything like that, and we'll probably be too far away for Wi-Fi to work. So it won't be like office hours in the sense that like I can help you debug your program easily. If we can't do it on a phone or by talking to each other, then it may not be super helpful in that way. But if you want to just talk about the world or advising questions, or I need to talk to a human being that isn't my roommate and isn't, in a little cramped room, then I'm there for that. So we're going to try that. We'll see how that works. This is the science building. We're actually right about here at the moment. My office is sort of right about here, right about there, actually. This is the science auditorium. And the RFC is down off of the bottom right of this picture. So down off this corner. There's a nice big lawn here. And so I figure I'll go there and I can park my chair and people can come hang out. Or I can just look kind of weird sitting there by myself in the middle of the lawn. But I'm up for looking weird. So it's not like, we're not all wearing masks or something. So it's all good. Okay, questions about any of that stuff? Good online? Cool. Okay. So that was the much longer than normal office hours conversation because it's a strange time. Google Calendar, we've talked about. Email, Cell, Slack. You can, if you use Google Hangouts, you can poke me that way. Let's see, I'm gonna wait on Slack for a little bit. Let's try to get through the other traditional stuff before it gets to be the end of class. So the course has a text. Pull my book out. Text, text, text. Introduction to Computing and Programming in Python, a Multimedia Approach by Gusdell and Erickson. This is the 4th edition. The 4th edition came out in 2015. You do not want, I mean, it wouldn't be fatal, but you'd rather not have an earlier edition. They did add at least one whole new chapter here, and they made some significant changes between the 3rd and 4th chapter, so 3rd and 4th edition. So I would definitely encourage you to try to get this edition. And they've changed the covers with every edition. So you want the edition with the seahorse. I think the previous edition had a picture of a butterfly on it. No, that was an earlier one. I think it maybe had a picture of like the Parthenon or some ancient architectural ruin on the cover. But you want the dark book with the seahorse. This is a very nice book. We've been using it in this class from the 1st edition of probably 15 years ago. And it's continued to be a very nice book. So I think it's pretty readable. And I hope that it will help you understand the material. And we'll follow the book pretty closely, especially at the beginning. We may jump around some. We probably will jump around some after sort of around after the first midterm, but we'll probably follow the book fairly closely, and we'll use most of the book. So unlike some books where you use like a third of it in the class and it's some great big doorstop, we will actually use the bulk of this book. So there should be plenty of used copies available since it's a 5-year-old book now. If the $100+ price tag new puts you off, I think you can get used copies for substantially less. So hopefully that's an option for you. Has anybody had any trouble getting hold of a copy of the book? Has that been an issue for anyone? Good. Okay. So like I said, we'll use Canvas. We'll do roughly one assignment a week. So we'll try to have a rhythm where there's basically going to be an assignment due most every Friday. So each week there'll hopefully be an assignment on Friday or an exam. The midterms will be on or due on Friday. We'll talk about that a little bit later. There'll be 2 midterms, one in the 3rd week of September and one in early November. Historically, the exams in this class have been in-class exams, which for people taking the course remotely and with the potential for people being ill, and I mean, it's just so many weird things going on. And that seems like that's probably not the best way to do things. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, what exactly I'm going to do instead, but there'll probably instead be some kind of take-home exam instead of an in-class exam. And so I might, for example, instead of having the exam on the 25th of February on Friday, maybe I hand out the exam on Wednesday, the 23rd, and it's due Friday evening. And we would be able to take time Wednesday and Friday to ask questions, and there'd be office hours and stuff if you had questions. So I think something like that's probably what's going to happen. But again, we're sort of making this up as we go along. And like if the first exam turns out to be a real mess, like the way I do it just doesn't work out well, or we see a better way, maybe it's not a mess, but we see that we can improve it in some fashion, I'm totally open to, altering how we do it for the second exam and for the final. So I'm not locked into any of this, but these dates should hold, right? The exam might not be in class on Friday the 25th, but it will be due, if it's not in class, it'll be due Friday the 25th. So you know that week will be when the exam is happening. So you can plan around that, even if it's not entirely clear exactly what that means. So does that make sense? Are there questions about that? You good? Okay. And then so as you know, I assume, the plan is that you all go home at Thanksgiving and don't come back. The last day of classes will be the Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, which I know is going to be a really awesome class day. The university thinks that everybody's going to be here and be focused instead of packing or driving or avoiding the snow or any of 18,000 other things and worrying about that last day of class. I promise I'm not going to do anything all that serious on that last day of class. We might do something on Monday, but man, Wednesday, I know that's a joke. But that's when class ends. And then the final is after Thanksgiving, but you don't come back, which is another reason that we're probably going to need to have some kind of online or take home something going on. And I want, I want the exam experience to be as similar for the people that are taking the class remotely as it is to the people that are here in the room as possible. And that's one of the reasons why I think some kind of take-home thing is probably the right way to go. So the exam, the final is scheduled from 4 to 6 on Tuesday, right after Thanksgiving. Again, we probably won't have a in-class final. I mean, nobody's going to be here because you're all going to be at home. But what we'll probably do is have some kind of take-home thing that will be due at 6 p.m. on December 1st, Tuesday, December 1st. So that 6 p.m. is probably when things are going to end for you, whether it's an in-class or a take-home, however we work it out. But that's the plan. Okay? And again, as we move through the midterms, we may learn more about what's a reasonable approach and how to do this better. So questions about any of that stuff? Man, I talk a lot. Faculty are terrible that way. We just blah, 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 blah. And then we get paid for it. I mean, it's a pretty awesome gig if you think about it. I just sit here and yammer and people pay me. It's kind of weird. I will try to post, record the lectures, and I will try to post links to those on Canvas and Slack as they come up. Because I'm using this computer to drive the meeting, I have to use Zoom's cloud services to record the meeting. A bazillion people are recording meetings onto Zoom's infrastructure. And so Zoom's infrastructure is a little overwhelmed. When we first went online in March, I found it took 48 hours for them to process one of my test videos. Now, my understanding is things are better now and that it shouldn't take that long, but don't expect access to the videos instantly. Videos might take several hours or even a day to be processed and available. And watching online isn't going to be, or watching a video isn't going to be probably as useful as being in the Zoom meeting or in the room, just because if nothing else, you can't ask any questions. So, did you have a question a little bit ago? No, you're good? Okay, I thought I saw you maybe raise your hand. So, so I will try to post those recordings. And obviously, you know, if you can't make it, especially if you're sick or you're in quarantine because you were exposed and you're not sure if you're sick, Recordings are, a reasonable resource if you can't attend online. But hopefully, people will be able to, show up. Let me know if that doesn't work. Let's see. I need to scoot along here. We're going to be here all day. So there's a lot here about COVID and mask stuff. The shortest version, and I'll let you sort of wade through a lot of the other stuff. The short version is that, safety first from my perspective. So, and you're all doing a great job, right? Everybody's got their mask. Everybody is maintaining social distancing. We're lucky that we're, I think, the first class in this room. So it's had all night to, clear out whatever gunk developed the day before in this room and give us nice fresh air. So everybody else all day will get to breathe our germs, but we don't get to breathe their germs. So yay, I guess, sort of. So, if we keep doing a good job, that's awesome. If there are issues though, I am ready to cancel class and go online that fast. I have no interest in, risking anybody's health over a computer science class. You've got the rest of your life to learn computer science, and I don't really want to see anybody get dead. And to be fair, I don't want to get dead either, right? That seems like a sort of sucky thing. And actually, given our age differences, you're more likely to just get sick, whereas I'm more likely to just get dead. So I'm not keen on the getting dead part. So we will do the good thing, and hopefully all will be well. But, if things get weird, we will, respond. So yeah, you're doing the thing. Washing hands is good. There is hand sanitizer up here if anybody, and this is probably a terrible place for it to be, but this is, I think, where they've got it at the moment. But if anybody needs to hand sanitize, you can do that. I don't think any of the rest of that matters. The no eating or drinking is sort of a sucky thing. I'm talking a lot. I could really use a drink right now. But if I bring a water bottle in, it'll just get covered in whatever random things people are breathing out. And that's probably not a good thing for me to be drinking out of. So I'll just get parched and sad over the course of the hour. And we will cope. And then I think all that's pretty obvious. And I should say, actually, this whole COVID section borrows very heavily from Jess Larson in Studio Art, who also made this very nice mask. Jess has made well over 1,000 masks over the summer. And so we've got a whole stack of Jess Larson masks at home, as well as the nice U of M mask, which I see several people wearing. So Jess has got some nice information here on taking care of your mask. One of the main things is wash the damn thing, because it gets gunky. And if you haven't been wearing masks all summer, if you wear them for a while, they get kind of gross. So I'm actually planning, like I've got 2 classes on Monday and Wednesday, this one, and then another one at 2:15. And I'm going to wear a different mask at 2:15. This one's going to go in the laundry when I get home. Ugh. And it'll be all full of my sweat and saliva and grossness. And I'm going to be like, you're gone. And I will put on another attractive Jess Larson mask and go to that class. So, wash your stuff. It's good. If you feel like you're sick or you've been exposed, obviously don't come to class. Attend online if you feel well enough. If you're really, really sick, obviously, when you can, let me know, and we will make arrangements, right? This is not an exercise in punishing people for having gotten ill. That should never be the plan. And depending on, if you're just out for a few days, that's pretty easy. If you're out for a couple of weeks, we can probably make it work. If you're, really, really laid low for a month, which this disease has been really tough on some people, then we'll have to figure out, that affects all of your classes, and that becomes a real big deal. And we'll deal with that if and when it comes up. Fingers crossed it won't. But, be aware of your symptoms. And if you are sick or you think you've been exposed, contact health services and your faculty and don't come to class. And if you work, say, at the library or something, make sure you tell your supervisor. If I get sick, we probably go online, at least as long as I'm ill. If I'm mildly sick and can teach, I will just teach from home. If it's worse than that, then I will probably have one of my colleagues step in and help out. And there's several ways that can play out. There's at least 2 other computer science faculty that have regular recent experience teaching this course. So we do have some fallback options. So I think that'll be fine. Fingers crossed though, none of us are going to get sick and it's all going to be swell, but we should have plans just in case. Questions? Okay, so there will be a combination of assignments. What do you know? We'll talk about in a second. Exams and the final. So the assignments will be collectively 30%. What do you know are only 5%. There'll be 2 midterms, 20% each, and a final, which is 25%. So the assignments do count for a fair bit in this class, right? They count for more than any single exam. And that's partly because, frankly, as I said before, you don't get good at playing the violin if you don't practice playing the violin a lot. You don't get good at the high jump if you don't run and try to throw yourself over a pole a lot. And so you really need to practice. And the assignments are the best way to do that. And so I want those to count because I think they're really important as a way of learning the material and getting good at it. You don't have to come. I'm not going to take attendance, but showing up is useful in my experience. Grades will be entered on Canvas, and you can check those, as we go. I think I've said most of that. What do you know? These are low impact, ungraded quizzes that are really just for me to find out where everybody is, how you're doing. So I might ask just a short question and give you 10 minutes to post an answer on Canvas. And you'll get credit simply for having done it. Like being here and trying will be all you need to do to get the points. I'm really just trying to figure out, do people understand this concept or are people baffled or somewhere in between? So it's an information gathering exercise for me. So there'll be a handful of those across the semester. And like I said, you get points for just showing up and being there. We talked about the exams, late work. Basically, Canvas will take off a little bit for every day something's late automatically. You'll still see your original grade. So let's say you turn something in and it gets graded and its grade with no regard to lateness is 85%. Canvas will show you that 85, but then it will also say, oh, this was 4 days late, so I'm going to take off 12%, so 3% per day of the 85, and that turns out to be, I don't know what, because I just did a different example than the one that's in the thing. So here, if it was 5 days late, that would take off 12 3/4 points. So you would get an actual adjusted grade of 72 1/4. There's a floor of 50%. So no matter how late it is, it'll never drop you below 50% on an assignment. So even if it's been 2 or 3 weeks, turning in something is probably better than not turning in something, right? You could at least get 50% on that assignment, even if it's been a month and a half. Now, I'm not encouraging people to turn stuff in a month and a half late. That's probably not a good idea. It's probably after the midterm that assignment would have helped you on, and the grader's going to hate me. So, I'm not encouraging that behavior, but it's available and you can do it and that'd be fine. If you turn stuff in late, it may get graded late, and the later it gets turned in, the later it's likely to get graded. Like you turn something in a month and a half late, it probably gets graded during finals week. It's just not going to be the top priority for anybody to grade at that point. But it'll be there and it will get graded and you'll get 50% probably if it's really that late. You know, I want to talk about the extra credit later because we only have 10 minutes, but there'll be a way to get some small amount of extra credit by, for example, posting corrections to the automatically generated closed captioning of the recordings of the videos and things like that. So not like for going to an event, not that there'll be a lot of events to go to anyway, but things that are related specifically to the class and would make things better for everybody. There'll be ways to get a few points there. I think I'm going to skip the assessment. This is like what you're going to get out of the class. And it's kind of, you're going to learn cool things about computer science. Go team. And then there's a pile of policies, which are very important. I don't mean to reduce their significance. I'm just interested in trying to get through the time. So disability services is here to help. And I would definitely reach out to them. There's Morris's guiding principles for the semester, which are basically, it's weird, let's all be flexible and nice to each other, which I'm totally down for. Student conduct code, don't be mean to people. Personal electronic devices. In this class, actually, I'm actively encourage you to have computers if you want. And almost everybody has a laptop open. So that's awesome. It will probably help a little. And obviously those of you online have a computer because you're watching this now. Absolutely feel free to bring gear because it'll be good to like play along at home. And that'll be a good thing. Dishonesty, don't cheat. I will work with you to make stuff up. Don't try to sell course notes because that's just weird. The university grading scale, don't be mean to people. Don't be mean to people. It's difficult. There are people here to help. We're adults and hopefully we'll get along. That was a very short version of the policies. If you have questions about any of those, absolutely let me know. We can talk about them more. I'm just trying to get back to the campus here quick. Are there questions about anything so far? That ends the syllabus. Go team. Okay. Questions online? Okay. So back to the syllabus. You know, given the time, I'm not even going to talk about Slack. So there's an assignment that's relevant, that's Slack relevant, that I'm going to move to Monday because I want us to be able to talk about that on Friday. So I'll move that assignment. So there are some things to do for Friday. Now these are due Friday night, 10 p.m., not Friday in class. Oh, actually, maybe I'll leave the Slack alone then because you could do it Friday after class. So I want to say a little bit about those. And so they're all available here on the front page. So the structure here is there should always be the current week should be visible here. You can always tab through and see other weeks, but I should have it set up so that the current week is the one you see by default. Now I have to change that manually every week, which is kind of dumb and annoying. It also means because I'm not a highly reliable individual, I may just gap it. So if we're like in week 4 and it's still showing week 2 by default, somebody tell me, because I might have just gotten distracted and not noticed, and I'd feel bad. So let me know if we're not in the right week. You can always get to the other weeks. The tabs are all here, but I would like it to be showing you the right week by default. So, and so that should have, each week should have information about what's going on and what's due, what the learning objectives are, and what we're covering. And down at the bottom, there should also be the actual assignments for the current week, and as we get closer to it, the next week will pop up as well. So you should be looking at sort of the current week and the next week as we go through the semester. So those will always be down there so you can find this stuff. So for Friday, there are 4 things I'd like you to do. The first is to give yourself an icon or a profile picture, and that just would be, come on. Oh, it doesn't, oh, yeah, there it is. So you can see that I have a picture here on the top left. That our child drew in the 4th grade, and I've been using as my online picture ever since because it's way better than anything else I have. The one downside is I've long since not had dark hair because age happens. And any attempt I've ever made to try to make that look gray just doesn't work. So in that picture, I will be dark brown hair forever. Yay. But the default image that Canvas gives you is very boring, and it all just looks the same to me. And it'd be great if people have separate images. So this assignment says to give yourself a picture. And it could be an actual photograph of yourself, but it could also be a picture of your dog or a drawing of an orange or whatever. I don't really care. It could be a random scribble. Does not matter to me. And there's instructions in the assignment on how to do that. If people try that and have trouble, we can certainly talk about that on Friday. There is a quiz of some simple chapter 1 questions. I wouldn't bother messing with that until Friday unless you're feeling inspired. Post a short video introducing yourself. I would like everybody, and this is really because I am terrible with names, and this math business is going to make it worse. Like, you're all just like people with orange, maroon faces. It's really awkward. And so I have found this is very helpful for me. If you make just a little video that says, hello, my name is Nick. I prefer to be called Nick. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his, right? So if you give me that piece of information in a little video, and I've got an example down here where I do it. Didn't mean to start the video.
Hi, my name is Nick.
Thank you. So don't feel like it's got to be fancy. Just pull out your phone and do it. You can use the Canvas video recording tool if that sort of works better for you. But don't make a big deal of it. If you don't have equipment that allows you to do this easily, let me know. But if we're all doing the Zoom universe, you probably have got the ability to make a little video like this. So I find this super helpful. And if you could do it, that would be awesome and make me super happy. And it's 10:20. That clock is slow. So I think I should stop. We'll pick up on Friday, talk about chapter 1 some, talk about Slack, answer any questions about any of these introductory exercises. So feel free to give those a shot. And we'll also need to talk about having Jess work on your computer. We didn't get to that today. We'll talk about that on Friday too. So no problem. So any questions as we wrap up? Thank you all for your patience, and your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Go be safe. I will be out on the grass if anybody wants to come sit and chat. I will talk to you fine folks online later. Goodbye. See you later.